This is Hello Hockey with Sean Bell and Tom Gazzola.
Bring 'em out, bring 'em out, bring 'em out, bring 'em out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. Come on. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Hey. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Yeah. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Hey. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out.
VIP coming live from the VIP. Heard the night.
This is Hello Hockey with Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell.
Yes, indeed. It is Hello Hockey, fresh edition, live on location at local South Edmonton Common, a.k.a.
It's a home game for me.
Bellezy Stomping
Yes.
Grounds. Oh, great to be here. Tom Gazzola, Sean Bell with you. Benny Thompson back at EST HQ. Hope you're doing well on this sunny but chilly Saturday. And yes, indeed, lots to talk about on Hello Hockey. We've got the Four Nations face-off. We're going to touch base with David Pagnotta, who is at Bell Center getting ready for Sweden and Finland. And then, of course, the big game tonight, Canada and USA. You can already feel the vibes. People are very excited for this game. Now, I saw some people, before we get into the morning coffee, I just really quickly, Bellezy, I saw some people say that this is like the biggest game in like a decade, and I'm like, get that noise out of here. It's huge.
Yeah, like it is a big game, but I feel like there's added levels to this purely because it's America, Canada, and you just know like the Americans kind of have the roster that like they're the villains and they want to play the villain.
They're very good at it,
and they're very good at it.
They're very good at it. You can share your thoughts as always. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Hit us up anytime. And then, of course, what we're pushing now is if you can't listen live, if you're not listening on Edmonton Sports Talk on iHeart, tune in, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify. Like, you can get the podcast version if you're not listening on Sportsnet Radio in Calgary or Vancouver. As well, subscribe to the podcast channel. It can't be the EST one. I've learned has to be like each specific show on our station. Cash saying, "Where are you guys? We're at local, not Jasper Ave, South Edmonton Common." I'm so used to saying,
I know. That's because you're used to being, having a home game every single time, not having to cross the river. But yet here we are. You cross the river and you're safe.
It was scary. It was scary.
And you're safe.
I had to wait for you.
This is the second time in like less than 3 days that you crossed the river to my neck of the wood.
I did. We begin, as always, with the morning coffee brought to you by the fine folks at Fox Coffee. Check them out just 2 blocks south of Rogers Place on 104th Street. It's been a smashing success at Fox Coffee. We couldn't be happier for Jarrell, Michaela, and a big shout out to Ashira, who takes care of us on the weekends. She's awesome. Go see the crew at Fox. They've now extended their hours. They opened up earlier on weekends. They start at 8 before they were open at 9. They're open at 8 a.m. instead because it's so busy and popular. And as I was leaving, it was getting busier.
Yeah, and then obviously when we walked in here today, one of the waitresses was like, "Is that Fox Coffee?"
Yeah, Monica.
Like, it is.
I'm getting to know the staff. Shout out to Mitch, Nikita, Monica here at local South Edmonton Common.
I think we converted Mitch.
Well, he's new to town.
But we converted him pretty quickly.
He knows what station and what
he's
what
an EST now.
He's an EST. He's a nasty, and that's great.
Nasty.
That's great to see and hear. Okay, as we kick things off here on Hello Hockey, let's check in with Benny Thompson. Benny, how was your week, big guy?
Was good. Yeah. Last week before reading week, so you know how instructors are. They like to pile you up with schoolwork right before you go on your break. So
of course.
Busy week for me, but yeah, it was good. Good. Finally over, and I'll have a nice relaxing week coming up. So
okay.
You got any plans?
Nothing, honestly. Just working a little bit during the week, and then outside of that, just hanging out with some friends. I know, like, pretty much every university's on reading week, so we'll be able to have a couple late nights now, more than usual. So
boy,
dip
into the night.
Yep.
All right, Benny Thompson's good to go. All right, I want to also welcome on board Sense Naturals. We're gonna hear from Simon Bennett and Joel Schneider from Archetype. Of course, Simon was on a month and a half
ago.
Yep. And told us about Sense Naturals. They're on board with us, so that's fantastic. And we look forward to having Simon and Joel on from Archetype Athlete. They're kicking off a new initiative and program with young hockey players through Archetype. If you don't know Archetype, in Edmonton, it's at the JW Marriott. It is a fantastic fitness center, fitness facility. A lot of high caliber hockey players work out there. I know the Oil Kings use it, and the training staff there is fantastic. And Simon just continuing on that legacy of training the next wave of professional hockey players.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go there. I guess back in my day,
Body by Bennett before it
became Archetype, and we kind of just stayed in touch. And Simon's a good dude. He's a great human being, and obviously I'm happy for him especially with Archetype, because it's a really cool building.
Yeah,
it's a really cool spot, and obviously if you haven't been there, you should definitely check it out. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how they're getting back into the training game. I know, like you said, they have a couple different initiatives going on. But yeah, it'll be good to hear from them.
They are coming up in hour number 2 of Hello Hockey, Simon Bennett and Joel Schneider. And then in about 15 minutes, we're going to go down to the Bell Center and touch base with David Pagnotta, our Hello Hockey insider. Him and Dennis Bernstein have been all over the Four Nations face-off. Bellezy, I know, like, I'm one of those who is a bit cynical about the tournament. I still am. Like, I'm not losing the fact that it's an exhibition tournament, but it's not a fake tournament. It's very real. Yep. The emotions, the way the guys are playing in it is like, it's not an all-star game. It's not a glorified all-star game. That game, Canada-Sweden, was highly entertaining. Bell Center was rocking. Mario Lemieux coming out there. Yep. He's like a ninja. I know you might see him around Pittsburgh, but you don't really see him much. And I know people around Montreal were saying, no, like, you never see Mario Lemieux.
Well, I think what happened was everybody kind of got into that spot where they're like, well, this is best on best. And every time we've seen it over the past number of years, it's always been just subdued, and guys don't really care. And they just want to go back to their regular season team and just play hard there because they're gearing up for the playoffs. Like, that's always been something that's happened. And then you get into this best on best, and you still have that same mentality, or that, I guess, that idea that they're not going to play hard. But as soon as you put on that flag as your jersey, it's different, and it means so much more. And because Sweden doesn't want to lose to Canada, they feel they have some of the best players in the world. Finland obviously doesn't want to lose to any of those teams. There's rivalries galore here, and it's been fantastic to see because there is that much intensity to the game. I think today's game is going to be crazy.
The Sweden-Finland one, of course.
Well, yes, that one.
I'm kidding.
That one's going to be a good game too, but it's going to be different than the Americans and the Canadians. That one's just going to be intensity personified.
Reaper, via the nasty chat, for those that are curious, is saying that Cale Makar is on the ice this morning.
Well, that's exciting.
That's a great sign. He was ill yesterday. They had to call in Thomas Harley. And if people are going, why the hell are they calling in Thomas Harley from the Dallas Stars? Well, we're already like a few days into the tournament, and many of those guys that would be the next man up, so to speak, are out of country. They're just
they're in Mexico right now, and they got their feet in the sand. Actually, we were trying to get a guest on yesterday. I was talking to Joel Ward, who's the assistant coach for the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm like, Ward, where are you? And he's like, I'm in Vegas. I can't get on your show. I was like,
okay.
Just like everybody else. And I think Sean May too with the LA Kings.
Yeah.
When we were trying to get Jim
Mazur's in Mexico thing. And I was like,
Mexico,
okay.
Everybody's gone.
No, it's out of sight, out of mind, and that's okay. Yeah. All right. There was Rashog with that tweet updating everybody about Cale Makar, who's ill yesterday. Thomas Harley had to fly in. They have to use is it Sanheim?
Yep.
And if another defenseman is unable to play, then they can use Thomas Harley. Okay. So that's why he was called up by Canada. No Uyghur, no Bouchard.
Yeah,
whatever,
they might all be gone right now.
They had to be like, which guy didn't go anywhere and is a half-decent Canadian player? And Harley, if you don't know him, is he's on the up and up. He's a very good young defenseman for the Dallas Stars on an excellent team down in Dallas. Yes.
Completely off topic.
Okay.
But I chirped you about crossing the river for the second time in 3 days.
Okay.
You got to jump on the ice with us.
Yeah, it was great skate.
How did you feel about it?
Well, not a lot of guys were there, especially at the beginning. And then guys just leave as the skate's happening. What was it, Dakota? Where does Dakota play in Penticton? We're going to need to talk about.
He was Penticton.
We're going to be talking about Penticton shortly.
Something we can talk about.
Yeah, good players, like really good players.
Yeah.
Who else was out there? I mean,
Steven Gertson.
Gertson was out there.
Or Arizona Coyote.
He's very good.
Yep.
Who else did we have? Richard Nault was out there. But what league did he play in?
The SPHL.
Yes, I remember the way you described it on the bench.
The actual way I described that league. But
I giggled when you described it that way. Who else was out there? It was Grayson Polonchuk.
Yeah, Grayson Polonchuk, who should still be playing pro right now. I have no idea why he is. Anyway.
Our boy Kent Morrison from CTV Edmonton was there. Great job in net.
Every time I see him, I try to convince him that I need to be on the radio or on the TV
on CTV Morning Live. Yeah,
pointing out right here, like there's a draft coming in from up there.
You'd have to get up.
Yeah.
Well, you get up pretty early anyway. But anyway, and then Tyson Eckes from Nexar Equipment, which was great. Yep. Tice was coming from the dentist. That's a commitment there.
That is a commitment.
So it was a good time. Then we went up to Summit, as we do, and we enjoyed a beverage and a bite. I was so full. I had the pasta. It was delicious. Anyway, okay, that's beside the point. That's off topic.
It was off topic, but I was just so happy that after 2 years, you finally showed up.
Well, yes.
So now you're going to fabricate some truth, so go ahead.
The facilities there are second to none. The steam room and then the sauna.
Yeah.
We're great. So the facility's excellent over at Silent Ice Center. And then, of course, enjoying the splendor of Summit, which is one of our fine partners here. Okay, one other thing that I need to talk about that's happening. It's tomorrow here in Edmonton. It is the PWHL Takeover Tour. You got Toronto and Ottawa going at it. And I think it is pretty much sold out. This is going to be a great game. We've got Sarah Nurse and then Emrance Mashmeyer, very prominent women players on the national stage with our Canadian national side, and then obviously helping to shape the PWHL and turn it into a powerhouse, if you will. So this is going to be great for young girls that want to get into hockey. Now there's a pro league, and we're going to get a firsthand glance at it here in Edmonton with the PWHL takeover. What do you think of this, Bellezy?
Oh, I'm excited to see it. I know that around the rink there's a buzz around it because they want to see that product, and the amount of female athletes that say they're going to this game, it's great to see, and it's something that we've people talk about all the time, and being able to emulate the stars.
Yep.
And it's easy to say, okay, we're just going to emulate Connor McDavid, but unfortunately, sometimes little girls might not be able to emulate that person.
Yes.
So now that you have, this pro league and they have their own stars and, all these exceptional female athletes, hockey players, I think it's just going to drive the sport. I think it's going to help with more registrations. And one of the things that's happened already is there is more registrations than ever in female hockey.
You guys have a female program?
We've got a female program. Yeah. So it's great to see, because what you want is to have more kids playing hockey, and you want to give them opportunities. Yeah. And at the end of the day, no matter what league it is, and I've reiterated this multiple times, and let me do it again, it is about the kids to keep as many people playing hockey as we possibly can. It's important.
Yes.
And it's great to see that now having a league like the PWHL, it allows more females to play.
And now they have a pro league. I remember playing with Shannon Zabados growing up before she went to the women's national team. She played junior hockey.
She played with me in Tri-City.
Yeah, played with you in Tri-City. She got a cup of coffee there.
Yep.
She was always on AAA teams, Tier 1 teams, and then obviously AAA with the club side of things. And I mean, we were kids, but I remember asking him, like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do in hockey? And it was before the 98 Olympics where men's NHLers were there, and then on the female side, I think it was the first time they had the women's side of the Olympics, ice hockey. And she's like, I want to make the NHL. And I remember I'm like, well, you're 10 years old, right? And you're like, I don't know, like, is that realistic? But now, a young female hockey player could be like, well, I want to be PWHL superstar.
Yeah.
And that's legit.
Amazing. It's amazing.
I mean, we're talking a couple decades later, but there is that goal to achieve and make a living and become a prominent hockey player. And it's not just every 4 years or every couple of years at a world championship. You're a pro player in a pro league that's got legitimate backing and great fan support. I'm looking at the seating chart here for the game on Sunday here in Edmonton. Very limited amount of seats available. This is through the Ticketmaster site. I just went through Rogers Place website. I'm sure there's some on resale, but it looks like for the most part, tickets are pretty much sold out.
Yeah.
So that's great to see. Okay, you mentioned one other thing before we move along to this next subject. I want to say that portions of this hour are brought to you by Local Public Eatery, where you can enjoy any big game, including Canada and U.S., and Sweden, Finland, on the plethora of TVs. The great folks here at South Edmonton Common, very welcoming. We'll take you in, have a seat where you can watch one of the many screens. This TV's great. You got TVs there, like they're all in all the right spots. So come on down to local SoCo, as you like to say, or if you're downtown and you don't want to cross the river, like I am, not inclined to do all that often. Jasper Ave. You can also visit Local Public Eatery locations in Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Dean Lowry, regional manager, says it's the best place, the best place to watch any big game, including today's Finland-Sweden game and Canada-US. Okay, the other thing I want to get to, you're talking about, it's about the kids.
Yeah.
There was that video, it was going around, I think it was early last week out of Seattle, where that dad, did you see it? Where he went and he pushed both refs. He went on the ice.
Oh, I saw it.
And he pushed both refs.
I saw it.
That is the most jackass asshole thing to do.
Whoa, you didn't even throw a beep in there.
I didn't throw a beep in there. Benny, time code that one.
Yep.
Like, unbelievable. And it was, they looked like 13, 14-year-old refs. Like, I know you get mad. I know the heat of the moment, but to go on the ice, Sean.
Oh, yeah. No,
and physically manhandle two refs because you're mad at them.
Don't just put refs on that. Put 13 and 14-year-old refs.
13 and 14-year-old refs is beyond ridiculous.
It's insane. Yeah, it's insane. At no point do refs wake up. Well, these two might now. Do they wake up and go, I want to screw over blank team? They don't wake up and say that. So because your team is now getting, more penalties and you feel as a coach that you got to go out there and push these guys, like, ridiculous. You're absolutely banana boat.
Ridiculous.
And trust me, I get mad at officials.
I know you do.
But at zero time do I think, oh, okay, I'm going to go now out on the ice and try to push them. Can I have conversations with them?
It's just sad.
Can I explain my point and why I may be frustrated? 100%. Do you got to go out there and have physical violence against these guys? No. Are you nuts?
These are minors. They're kids.
Even if it was full grown adult, still you don't do that.
It's sick.
And then he'd be surprised if somebody came out there and beat the wheels off of him.
Well, there's one kid that came off the bench and actually chased the guy.
Well, that's my point. So, and he'd be like, well, why did you do that? Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable. Anyway, I just thought it was, and I don't like focusing on the negative, but that was something that I just thought to myself, like, how disgusting.
It's good to bring up because, once again, I think sometimes we all forget that this is a game. It really is a game. And we don't necessarily need to be doing dumb things like this.
Big Uke texting in saying, what a ridiculous move by that guy. Absolutely horrendous. Big Uke. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. All right. Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. Troll says that guy in Seattle needed a good butt kicking. What a goof.
Man, just like go have a drink before the game and cut the edge off. And then sit there and just relax and watch your kid play.
You know what's sad? That happened at the Kraken practice facility.
Yeah.
So anyway, just awful. get into the nasty chat as well. We're off and running here on Hello Hockey. David Pagnotta, our Hello Hockey insider, will be stopping by very shortly from Bell Center, getting ready for Sweden and Finland. And then, of course, the big game tonight, Canada, USA. That's going to be awesome. We're going to go into that with Pegs. The Wolf chiming in. Oh, says, hello, hockey. The Wolf is working outside today with an earbud in my ear just beside Windermere's Eco Station. I got your weather for you. It's cold.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Humid, cold.
We can all blame Matty Iwanek for this because he had to go spout off about how it's almost done back in January. And here we are today having to endure another stretch of minus 20 weather and colder.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Arthur is saying, why did the Oil Kings schedule a game tonight? They must have known about Canada versus U.S. Makes no sense. It's, they probably did, but you're limited. You're playing second fiddle to the Oilers at Rogers Place. Plus, you've got the constraints of the WHL schedule, and they're probably fully aware that most eyes will be glued to Canada, USA.
And their schedule probably came out before they even got the Four Nations.
Yeah, it probably there's a draft of it potentially. Yeah. So not much you can do. All right. One other thing that popped up this week and came from the Four Nations face-off was the announcement that the 2028 World Cup of Hockey will be happening. That's great. It'll be a more grandiose tournament than this Four Nations face-off, a more legit, if you will, tournament. And that's also something that we look forward to. But the timing of it, Bellezy, isn't going over well by the standards in the East, or not Eastern, but the European clubs and federations. They don't love the idea that it's going to be in February because the NHL players want to keep it mid-season rather than go back to September the way it was before. Why would European nations, federations not be too on board with doing it in February? Because there's people going, what's the problem here?
Yeah, so in Europe, they have 2 national team breaks where they're allowed to get their teams together. They can practice, they play in different tournaments. So that's probably part of it. So one's in November. There's probably a 7-day break in November, and then there's another break in February. And those are really important times for all the national teams in Europe. And we played the Deutschland Cup in November. It was Team Canada, and it rotates every year for Canada, US, but the players that are in Europe, Germany and Austria, Canadian players come together to make a Team Canada. They play against Austria, they play against Germany, and they play against Switzerland. You know, it's just tune-up time for a lot of the European countries, and it takes away from that. So from that side of things, it's you're rocking the boat a little bit.
And people were wondering, they're in the nasty chat saying, why isn't it going to be in September?
Because not always is it just going to be NHL players. There is pro players in different countries that would make these teams. And so it's going to just mess up the way that they do things and they do business.
This is why you're great to bounce these things off of. Why wouldn't NHL players want it in September?
Because you're trying to tune up for the season and you haven't played, in some cases for like 3 or 4 months. And the last thing they want to do is come out and then all of a sudden have to play in some like very meaningful games because that's usually where the injuries start. And I've had to do that playing in the Champions Hockey League at the time. It was called the European Trophy. And the amount of injuries that happen because now you're going from doing absolutely nothing to high intense games, which they become the minute you put a flag on your body, their intensity. And it's hard, and you don't want to do that because your body's not conditioned to playing at that level. So that is probably the biggest issue there.
My response, and I think most people's responses would be, they did it in all those Canada Cups and World Cups before.
Yeah, well, those guys were also smoking all summer, having beers all summer, and then showing up to get in shape. So, like, you're beat up anyway, so you might as well just beat yourself up a little bit more. These guys are finely tuned athletes, and they're going absolutely crazy. And the stuff that they do to get ready now, the game's so much faster. It's at a different pace. So, yeah, it's just different. So,
okay, now we know. All right, David Pagnotta is going to join us here from the Bell Center as he gets set for Sweden and Finland. Of course, portions of this hour brought to you by Nexar Equipment. If you need maintenance, service, or repairs on your vehicle or heavy equipment, score a 10% discount at Nexar Equipment with code HelloHockey. Visit nexarequipment.ca or call 587-402-6665. There he is, all suited up, looking sharp. He's a busy boy today. Pags, how you holding up today? What's going on at Bell Center? Give us the scoop.
It's getting rowdy. I guess fans, everybody's starting to come into the building to get ready for Sweden and Finland. So big prep mode. A lot of Swedish, lot of yellow, and a lot of like navy with the Finnish emblem.
Yep.
On top. So yeah. It's like the appetizer before the big one later on tonight. Although in Sweden and Finland, the rivalry is pretty much the same.
Hey, in Montreal, we call that a petit déjeuner. I nailed it. You're in your hometown.
You absolutely nailed it.
Well done. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Throw out a big now, okay?
Okay, give us a sense of the vibe around this tournament. How's Montreal embracing the Four Nations face-off? It looked amazing on opening night. It looked great between Finland and USA. Give us a sense of the vibe around what looks like a snowy and cold Montreal right now.
Today's actually not bad.
Okay.
Tomorrow's going to be a disaster. It's like 40 centimeters coming in. Like teams and everyone, the league had to readjust their entire flight pattern, by the way, for tomorrow. Everyone's leaving after the game, or a good chunk of everyone leaving after the game today, tonight. And I think Sweden and Finland are going to be leaving later on today as well, just to get into Boston without the storm. But even with all the snow on the ground and how friggin' cold it was earlier this week, it's been electric. The city they've been loving every minute of this. Plus, it's cool because you can walk around town and you just see random people in the NHL just with their family, sometimes solo. Like I walked around, I've run into like 14 different players that I could think of just around the city. Like and the fans absolutely loving every minute of this one. It's all hyped up. The fanfare and the fan fest that they got is opening up today, half indoor, half outdoor. Everyone's really embraced this. I would have liked to have seen more promotion tied to this event, but I mean, now that it's on, the city has been crazy, and it's been a hell of a week so far.
Okay, it is a huge game that a lot of people are looking forward to. What about the players? What is your sense of talking to them, of what they make of this tournament? Because on the ice, it looked great, obviously, in that first game. Even the Finland-USA game, I thought was excellent. What are you getting from the guys that are actually playing in these games?
Yeah, like what's the vibe from the players, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
They want to win, and they want to kick the crap out of the other team. So, like, it's not just it's country pride, and it's a little bit of locker room pride too for some of these guys from the NHL side of things. But look, this is intense. This isn't a glorified all-star competition. This has been intense, and you'll see today, like Sweden and Finland, this is going to be an intense matchup. Canada, US, same thing. You're going to see a lot of back and forth. You're going to see a lot of physicality. Really, nobody wants to kill anybody out there, but if you could leave a few bruises, I don't think anyone's going to mind doing that. You're going to see later, like, this is going to be intense. And the guys know it. They understand that. And they're repping their country. So any opportunity you have to do that, you play at a different level. That's what these guys are bringing so far. And we'll continue.
Are we going to see 1996 levels of intense, or are we going to have just a less intense version of that? Because that game there was like, it was... Yeah. It almost seemed like there was legitimate hatred on both sides. Obviously, because you have that the Canadian logo on your chest or the American logo on your chest. Do we see that level of intensity?
I don't know if we'll see that tonight. If Canada-US face off in the final and today gets a little bit chippy, then I think Thursday's game you're going to see a certain level of intensity. Like you're definitely going to see that. I think a lot of it is going to depend on what happens tonight. And look, if you're ESPN in the US or Sportsnet in Canada, you're hoping that your country is going to be making the final, or else it's going to be a bit of a sad trombone kind of broadcast. But I think it's lining up that way. That's going to happen. But I think in terms of intensity, getting to that 96 vibe, I think a lot of that will depend on how tonight unfolds.
David Pagnotta, our Hello Hockey Insider, joining us now. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well on the YouTube side of things. Dave, we saw Thomas Harley come in for Canada. Cale Makar was ill yesterday. What's the latest on Team Canada's roster, and is everybody doing it? How's Sidney Crosby holding up after a brilliant game one?
He seems to be doing okay. Cale practiced this morning. He was on the ice for the pregame skate, morning skate. I actually passed by him yesterday around dinner time.
Of course.
One of the guys that I also passed by him to. He seemed to be doing okay. So I would anticipate, barring something dramatic, that he's going to be playing tonight. I was also told, and I tweeted this out yesterday as well, like there's some teams, some players on each of the four countries that have been battling a bit of sickness, a bit of illness. And some guys have been taking precautions and trying to like hunker down in the room rather than go out and mingle because of that. So it's not just exclusive to Makar. This is something that like some guys were sick in the league and it's kind of trickled on here. And some of these illnesses have lingered for a while, but it looks like Cale's okay. Thomas Harley is here just in case, but looks like he's going to get in. We know Sam Bennett is coming in for Travis Konechny. So Bennett's going to be in next to Marchand and Jarvis to add a little extra energy today. And it looks like there are no changes for the U.S. On the Finland side, looks like Joel Armia is out. And Kaapo Kakko gets into the lineup for the Finns coming up here. And they swap Granlund and Laine. Granlund moves up from the third line to the second line. Laine moves down on the right side on that third unit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was just going to go quickly. Is there any kind of rumors out there in the NHL right now with potential trades, anything that's going on? Because obviously we know that this is a break, and yes, there is guys away, but it's almost become a bit of a de facto second trade deadline.
Yeah, it's the chatter's picked up the last couple of days. With some of the stuff that may potentially, kind of happen. There's a lot of talk that Vegas is up to something, trying to continue to add. There have been a lot of reports about that, but it certainly sounds like chatter there has picked up. St. Louis, Toronto, those clubs have been looking around. There's interesting buzz on St. Louis because they made that minor trade. Looks like they've got a couple minor things that they're working on right now, in addition to some big stuff. And we all know there's the Braden Shen reports that are out there.
Yep.
Schneider is available. He's out there as well. There's been a lot of Jordan Kyrou talk. And if it gets to that level, you're looking at something pretty significant. I don't know exactly. Hopefully, guys, the background noise, the PA announcer's yapping away. So hopefully it's you can hear me clearly.
It's good. You sound good.
She stopped. There you go. But anyway, St. Louis is a team that a lot of people here are talking about, and kind of curious to see what they end up doing. But look, Monday is the other day that we've got two more games, and then two teams are out. Practices start Monday for teams around the National Hockey League as well. I suspect Tuesday on, and we talked about this last week too. That was the mindset. I think Tuesday on is when we're going to start to see activity here pick up in the National Hockey League. We're 2.5 weeks from the trade deadline at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of look that things kind of happen there, but definitely there's a lot of eyes here anyway, a lot of chatter geared towards St. Louis and what they end up doing.
Pegs, as always, thank you for the update. Thanks for doing this from Bell Center. Enjoy Sweden, Finland, and then the big one tonight. And have fun tonight mixing a water, because I know you're back in your hometown. A lot of NHL people there. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
It has been, and I tell you, the ginger turmeric vitamin shot that I took this morning tasted worse than some of the shots I might have done last night.
That's our boy. All right, Pegs, have fun. Yeah. David Pagnotta, our Hello Hockey Insider. Great stuff as always from Dave there. So there you go. Some trade wins picking up. You know what name you didn't hear? Colton Parayko.
Yeah, that name you didn't.
On our station throughout the week, there are people saying, "Oh, Colton Parayko." Not happening. We had Matthew DeFranks on last week prior to the Oilers Blues game, and he's like, "Yeah, Parayko's not going anywhere." So get that out of your head. So interesting. Jordan Kyrou's name, Buchnevich, whose name was out there last year. There's some Shen rumors flying out there. So Pagnotta not only covering the national side of thing with 4 Nations, but all those NHL people there, the club teams, and their business continues on, which is great to hear as well. Okay, what do you got?
I just want to.
You want to address this?
I just want to address this.
Okay, we got 1 minute
because I'm kind of laughing. At zero time, Mr. Kieran Farrell, have I disrespected an '80s player? Let me tell you a story.
Why do you hate the '80s players?
Yeah, let me bring you down memory lane.
Okay.
So one of my first camps in Dallas, I'm in the shower, and here comes Mr. Sergei Zubov. And he's wheeling in a cart. He goes and sets it up in the corner. He turns on one shower, turns it hot, turns on another one so that the streams are like going across like this.
Yeah.
He sits down on the cooler. He pulls out a cigarette. He lights it up. And he's sitting there like this, smoking a dart in the shower, talking to me. This is a Hall of Famer, by the way.
Yeah.
Going, Bellezy, do you like to block shots? And I'm like, well, I mean, if I have to, I'll do it. He goes, yeah, don't block shots. You know why? Because it's crazy. He's like, why would you do that? You don't have goaltender equipment on, so don't block the shots, and it will add more years to your career. So at zero time,
he's a '90s guy, by the way.
He's a '90s, but you don't think they were doing that in the '80s too?
Well, smoking darts in the locker room, 100%. I'm not blocking shots, 100%.
Disrespect, zero disrespect. Those guys are warriors. There is zero disrespect.
I like that. You got very perturbed when you saw that message.
I'm just like, come on, man. Like, I'm not disrespecting anybody. That's one thing we don't do here is we don't disrespect hockey players, because at the end of the day, we're all here doing it. We're covering it, and we're not like former Edmonton meat.
Okay.
Disrespecting players.
Fair enough. We respect players from every era. That's going to be it for segment 1 of Hello Hockey. When we return, we've got the modern power play. Jared did it this week. Richie, great stuff last week. And then we'll also get into Benny's blind rankings. Has become a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Nice addition to the show. And then hour number 2 will feature Joel Schneider and Simon Bennett from Archetype Athlete. They're going to tell us their story. So lots more on the way. Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat. We're going to take a quick break here on Hello Hockey. When we return, we're going to have some fun with Benny's blind rankings as well as the modern power play. We're 2-0. Debatable. All right, more coming up right after this.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Movies, comics, and television. That's what you get with Friends of Edmonton Sports Talk, the MCTV podcast. Join hosts Corey Graham and Mark Majot Monday and Friday nights at 7 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast, located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout, and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
This is Hello Hockey with Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell.
Live on location at local South Edmonton Common, our maiden voyage. Tom Gazzola, Sean Bell here in Southside Edmonton. Ben Thompson back at EST Global HQ. If you're watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up. And then if you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com's audio player, as well as Sportsnet Radio, we appreciate you. You can text us 780-218-9999. We have a couple of fun things to get to, and then hour number 2, we will have a couple of really good guys joining us here live on location. Simon Bennett and Joel Schneider from Archetype Athlete, talking about their new endeavor that they're taking part in with Archetype. It's going to be awesome. They'll give us the scoop because Simon Bennett, he always has like a lot of stuff on the go. I've known him for a long time. We worked together at OEG, Oilers Entertainment Group, when he was the strength and conditioning coach for the team, and I was doing Oilers TV. Benny's always got a million things happening. Like yesterday, he lectured me on not saying the word Ayurvedic properly for the commercial.
The best part about that is that he called me first,
you
right before we had a game, 10 minutes, and he's going off, and he's like, I need to do the voiceover of this commercial.
No,
because Tom can't say it correctly. He can't pronounce it. You know what, Benny? You should call Tom and let him know.
He did call me and let me know. He left me like an extended message. So it's all good. I enjoyed it because I was like, oh, Benny, he's very detail oriented, which is great. Yeah. So I will revoice it. We will send it off to the production team, and it will be a tremendous commercial.
I asked him to send you the phonetics of it.
He did.
He did send you the phonetics?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I have it. You can listen to I saved that bad boy. Anyway, Simon and Joel will be joining us in hour number 2. We do have to get to Benny's blind rankings, and we do have to mention that portions of this hour are brought to you by Performance Chiropractic and Physiotherapy, a clinic built specifically for the athlete in all of us, with a full team of physiotherapists, chiropractors, massage therapists, and acupuncturists, all here to help you live pain-free. Come see us today at our South Edmonton location, not far from here, I believe.
Yep, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I've been having trouble. My arm will fall asleep when I'm sleeping, and I think I have an issue that I might have to go to Performance Chiropractic.
Yeah, maybe it's because you're trying to get that loofah into the backside. And you strain something.
I do use the loofah, and I have no shame when I use it.
You got chirped a lot when you showed up.
I got chirped last night at my Friday pickup game that I play every Friday. Because some of our players listen to the show and our station, and they're like, Tommy, that loofah. And I'm like, so what? It's a very thorough clean. All right, let's get Benny Thompson on here as we get to Benny's blind rankings. Benny Thompson, loofah guy or non-loofah guy at hockey showers?
No, you won't catch me having a loofah in my bag. Not.
You guys just don't understand. I'm ahead of my time.
The hand does the trick.
I'm gonna get you a gift for Christmas.
Please don't.
I'm going to.
I've
already got it.
Without further ado, Benny's blind rankings. Let's go.
All right. So category today is in theme of the 4 nations. Today we're gonna do players in the Canada versus USA game today. That is as simple as that.
I go first on this one because you've gotten us into this. I've
gotten us into 2-0, but you're right. That's fine. Go ahead.
I don't know how you think that, but all right.
2-0.
Okay, let's go, Benny.
First player, Jack Eichel.
5. You want to know why?
Yeah.
He's excellent, but I feel like there's some great players that are more effective than him coming up. So Jack Eichel, who I don't think you could compare him to Connor McDavid. They were drafted 1-2 in 2015. We're going straight up number 5 for Jack Eichel.
Okay.
And that's with no disrespect intended.
Okay. Dylan
Why
Larkin.
do you hate 2020s players?
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Was that like you're referencing this Kieran Farrell comment that said Bellezy disrespecting 80s players?
It's so ridiculous. Anyway, go ahead.
Why does this have to leak into Benny's blind ranking?
Now I'm just salty.
You are salty.
Yeah.
Way to go, Kieran.
Man.
Thank you for watching.
Kieran.
All right.
Yeah,
so Eichel 5.
Yeah.
Dylan Larkin.
Larkin's next.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Oh, you want me to go? 4.
Who is it?
Larkin.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. See? Now we're not going to be 3-0. Larkin's number 4.
No.
End of story.
Fine. Larkin, what's wrong with Larkin? Him and Eichel are interchangeable.
He's not better than Eichel.
Yeah, that's true.
Go ahead, Benny.
Brock Nelson.
See?
Oh.
You see what you did? You didn't even think about what you wanted to do here. You just said, you know what?
I assume you're putting him 3. I assume.
We're going to have to put him 3.
Hang on.
Holy man.
What did I do? 3.
Go to.
Okay.
These are all American players.
1 and 2 left. Does that mean there's Canadians coming? Who knows?
Well, the way this is going, no.
Go ahead.
Braden Point.
Oh, 2. I have no qualms putting him at number 2.
Okay, go 1.
Alrighty, Braden Point, number 2, which leaves number 1 for Travis Sanheim. Good job, boys. You guys nailed it.
Yeah. See, we're 2-1 now, Tommy, because you went and you went with emotion.
Let's
Did we
go.
spell Sanheim right there? Did you get that right?
I think so. All right, here, let me check. Sanheim? Yeah, no, hold on. That's probably not it.
There we go. Yeah, we spelling mistakes. Okay, so we really messed this one up.
Don't put we in this one. I don't even want you to remotely put we in this one.
I'll take.
You're going to take all of this.
65% of the blame.
Like 80% of this.
Okay, so this was Four Nations face-off, blind rankings.
Tommy messed it up big time.
And Eichel was the first guy Benny put out there. I put him 5th, thinking that we're going to get like McDavid, Crosby, McKinnon, Jack Hughes, Austin Matthews. And Benny,
we've gone 2-0, and you know that Benny was going to come in and try to sabotage us.
Where would you have put Eichel?
I would have put Eichel at 1 on this list, and then Point would have been 2, and then Larkin 3, Nelson 4, Sanheim 5.
You have to admit that Point is a good pick at 2.
He's a great pick at 2.
So,
however, you thought when you saw Eichel and you're like, nope, somebody else is coming out.
Yeah, of course, because he said Eichel first.
But you got to see his face. Look at his face right now.
You can't tell.
I can, because he's a bad poker player.
I try to give y'all hints. And,
you didn't give us any hints.
Matty Hyman says you have to take 100% of the blame because it was over after the first pick. Couldn't agree more, Matty Hyman.
to be fair, I will say this. I've tested this on my dad last night and on my buddy. They both lost. They both did the exact same thing. They put Eichel 3. They put Larkin 5, and then Nelson came, so they put Nelson 4, and then they did Point 2, and then they ended up having Sanheim 1. So I won. I told them last night I'm beating these guys tomorrow. I'm beating them.
You did.
That's a W for me. I'll take it.
We have lost.
No. You beat Tommy. You beat Tommy.
There's no I in team.
You beat Tommy. I'm sorry, but you beat Tom.
There's no I in
I'm not
team,
even remotely
and there's no
jumping
I
into
in
this
Hello
one.
Hockey.
Man.
I just love how Tommy was like, hey, I got this. Like this.
I got this.
I got it.
Not my best performance.
Oh, man. That is good.
780-218-9999. Feel free to rip our performance. You can point out that I took the lead on this one. I'll own it. That's what a good teammate does. Well done, Benny. That's your blind
Troll
ring.
says it. Tommy, you own that one. Bellezy 0%. Thank you, Troll.
Oh, but what's that one say? Right underneath.
Oh, I use a loofah to use it. Oh my God!
Thank you.
You don't use a loofah in the
post hockey shower.
Glengarry.
I did use that
showers.
I did.
You use it in your own house.
Nope, I used it at the Silent Ice
I'm
Center.
talking to Mr. Wolf there.
Oh, you're talking to the Wolf. Oh. Okay, so that was a putrid performance by us.
You.
On Benny's blind rankings. Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999.
Can't
Get
wait
to
to
the
post
nasty
this
chat.
one.
Yeah, that's going to go over really well. Really, really well. I did kind of take the initiative on it. All right, we need to get to the modern power play. Stop laughing.
I am not going to stop laughing.
You need
that
to stop
was glorious.
Laughing. Oh, you love this.
I do.
The Modern Power Play, of course, brought to you by Modern Measure, Edmonton's leading provider of made-to-measure clothing. Choose from hundreds of fabrics and customizations to give you a one-of-a-kind look with a perfect fit made just for you. I was wearing my overcoat yesterday for Valentine's Day dinner. She loved it. She loves it. She's like, I love that coat. I'm like, yeah, it was good. Very good Valentine's Day.
Nice.
All right, let's see what Jared's got in store for this edition of the Modern Power Play.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Modern Power Play. Now we all know the Four Nations Cup is happening this week, so I thought it'd be kind of fun maybe for the Power Play. I would focus on the captain of each team. So let's get at it. All right, so for Finland, Alexander Barkov. So he's wearing a nice subtle blue on blue window pane suit here. Nice subtle pattern. It's a classic two-piece suit. The only thing I noticed is the bottom pockets seem to be a double bezel style. I would typically keep the classic pocket with flaps because you can always tuck it in and get the same look, but you get dual purpose out of it. So it's a nice complement with the light blue shirt there and the darker blue tie. I can't tell if it's just from the photo or if it's actually happening, if it's a striped pattern on the shirt, but you gotta be careful with too many patterns at once. Right now we possibly have checks, stripes, and polka dots. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, now moving on to Sweden with Victor Hedman. Now I really like this suit. It's a great summer like suit, or in this case, I guess all year round suit because he lives in Florida. But the colors are really nice together and it opens up the door for a lot of fun, different shirts and accessories. You can wear different brown shoes, blue shoes, anything really. It's a really nice, fun pattern, but it gives you lots of play opportunity. Now this suit has nice wider peak lapels, I'd say about 9 centimeters, whereas the rest of the suit's a very classic two-piece, two-button front and straight pockets. Often I will use a slanted pocket with a peak lapel because it's just a play on the angles and it kind of keeps everything kind of working together. All right, folks, Team Canada. Sid the Kid, Sidney Crosby, our captain. He's going overcoat, so I'm gonna go overcoat. This is a nice fabric. It's really nice neutral gray, has a really rich texture, which I love in a lot of our Italian fabrics. The gray is easy to pair with almost any color and is a staple for the wardrobe. Now this is a very classic and clean look to it. It's a single-breasted 3-button front with a wider notch lapel. Now on the really cold days, you'll probably need a scarf, but it's good for every other day and it's great casual, dressed up. Now the width of the lapel on the overcoat is typically wider than you normally would have on your suit, so just keep that in mind when you're coming to make one. All right, folks, Team USA, Austin Matthews, yeah, whatever. This one's actually for Tom. Tom hates when people wear suits and turtlenecks. I thought it'd be kind of funny to do this, but also maybe it's good to talk about it too. Now I get this, it's a different look. Some people just pull it off better than others. I was born in the 70s, so this look doesn't bug me at all. As far as how the suit goes, I would definitely probably bet it is a Tom Ford, super wide peak lapels, probably 12 centimeters. It's a double-breasted 6 fasten, so it has those 2 extra buttons just below the chest that are just purely there for fashion, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You can take it, or you can love it, or you can hate it. Okay, well that does it for this week. First, Tom, I don't know, do you like what you see here? I don't know, I think it's not a bad look. Am I pulling it off? Okay, well anyways, take care everyone. See you next time, and go Canada.
This is not my show. This is not my show today. I totally pooch. Bellezy, Benny's blind rankings. Bellezy, you just leave me hanging out to dry, and then Jared goes and does that to me.
Yeah.
Puts on the turtleneck with the suit. I dislike that look. Austin Matthews uses it all the time. And then did you see how Jared switched to it?
And then he put that thing on and just he went at you.
No, I don't love it. Jared, you look fine. You look fine. Better with the collared shirt, in my opinion. But some people love the turtleneck with suit look. The boys at Modern Measure will make sure you look great with a turtleneck or with just a traditional shirt as well. Very clever, Jared. Very clever. Well done, Madison, putting that together. Yep. So there you go. Another edition of the Modern Power Play. You know what else that tells me? Jared and Richie are getting very comfortable in front of the camera.
They are. It gets a little bit better every single time.
It really does.
Yep.
So that's a fun feature. And well done, Jared.
Yeah. I love it.
You know what? That's why we have this board. I'm getting better at the board. So, Jared, to you, I throw one of these out. Very good. All right. Bellezy, any thoughts before we go to break? Because we do have Simon Bennett and Joel Schneider coming up here on location at South Edmonton Common local.
Yeah, it's a cold day. It's beautiful, sunny outside though. It is starting to heat up in here, so if you're in the Nasty Chat and you're looking for something to do, come on down. Kieran, come on down. Let's grab a beer.
You want to talk about players of past generations?
Yesteryear.
Oh, man. Well, you would have played with guys that played in the 80s, right? Because you broke into the league in 2006?
Yep.
Somewhere around there. So there would have been. Who was the oldest guy? Mike Modano would have been around when you were in Dallas?
Modano would have been around. Wes Walls.
What about your first training camp?
Keith Carney.
What about like St. Louis? You were in St. Louis for a training camp, right?
Who would have been there? So Al McInnes, Pronger, but I don't think he played.
Wouldn't he have been traded? Oh, no, you were drafted in 04.
No, Pronger was around at that time. 03.
You were drafted 03? Oh, right, because you're an earlier birthday.
Yeah. Who else would have been on that team? That team was pretty loaded, actually. Let's pull this up.
Okay, so that would have been Pronger. Was Dougie Waite there?
Yep.
Bill Guerin?
Yep.
What's it like being an 18-year-old and you walk into a room of guys like that?
They were all bragging about buying the newest Hummers, so I was kind of just laughing.
What did you get?
I didn't have I wasn't even signed at that point. I was just a young baby.
With your signing bonus?
Didn't even get signed. I just got drafted. Went to my first camp, and all these guys were kicking around. It was it was cool. Like, it was it's hard to describe because you look at all these players and you're watching them grow. Like, you're watching them as you grow up. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they're sitting in front of you, and it was like they took care of their guys really well. Like, I know that Chuck, Guerin, Waite, and I can't remember the third guy or the fourth guy. It might have been Jamal Mayers. They all put money together, and they picked the team to win. So, like, Guerin was a captain of one team, Waite was a captain of one team, so on and so forth. And the winners of that, like the overall games in camp, they got all the pool money. But it didn't go to the NHL players. It went to like the young guys like myself and some of these other guys like DJ King at the time. So like I thought that was really cool because you don't know what to expect from these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You come out your first camp, you're like, okay, well, man, here goes Dougie Waite and here goes Keith Chuck, and you're like, that's
Chris
pretty
Pronger.
cool. Chris Pronger. So I found that really, really cool. But yeah,
do you talk a lot in those scenarios? Because you're very
I don't say a
guy.
word, like not a word.
You're quite comfortable around a lot of people.
Yeah. Well,
who else was there? Bryce Salvador.
Dallas Drake was there.
Okay.
Steve Martins.
Eric Weinrich.
Yep.
Wow. Mike Danton.
Mike Danton.
Did you ever talk to him?
I remember Mike Danton. So that was literally the year that it happened. Everybody left after training camp. I think he made the team that year.
Yeah.
And then I think around, was it Christmas time? All you hear is that special sound from that one one TV station based out of Toronto that has that iconic like breaking news.
No.
Yeah. Mike Danton. Yeah.
Wow.
Man. Crazy.
That was crazy. I'm just looking at some of the names. Brian Savage was on that team. Mike Sillinger.
Demo. Dimitra.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ryan Johnson. Dimitra. Oh, that's sad.
Yep.
Eric Boganicki.
Yep.
Eric Boganicki. I remember that one. That's crazy. Well, There you go. All right. Simon Bennett, Joel Schneider will be joining us in hour number 2 from Archetype Athlete. We'll get to more of your thoughts as we get set for a big day in the hockey world. Just 2 games on the NHL side of things under the Four Nations face-off flag. It's Sweden and Finland first, and then the big one, Canada, USA. Let us know your thoughts, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. We roll into hour number 2 of Hello Hockey right after this.
2 guys and a goalie.
I don't mind analytics. I just don't like when people are like only analytics and only this, and they're like, oh, you can't do that, guy, and so he's horrible. And I'm like, let's watch the tape, and then let's look at those analytics and say why some of that stuff happened before we make our decisions.
Cass is good in the sheets, the Excel spreadsheets.
I was going to say, Cass, what do you think of analytics? By the way, this episode will be called Cassalytics.
Hey, I think it's got to be.
Yeah.
Two guys and a goalie with Gager, Cassian, and Nielsen. Tuesday and Thursdays at noon. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Movies, comics, and television. That's what you get with Friends of Edmonton Sports Talk, the MCTV podcast. Join hosts Corey Graham and Mark Majot Monday and Friday nights at 7 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Is Hello Hockey with Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell.
Live on location, local South Edmonton Common on a lovely Saturday in Edmonton. This is Hello Hockey. Tom Gazzola, Sean Bell with you. Ben Thompson back at Edmonton Sports Talk HQ as we get set for what should be a fun and interesting day in the world of hockey with Canada and the USA going toe-to-toe this evening. And then, of course, we've got the petit déjeuner, a light snack, if you will, before the full course big meal. Sweden versus Finland.
Depending on what area of the world you reside.
Well, it's in Montreal.
Well, if you're watching it in Finland, you're like, this is not, what do you call it?
A petit déjeuner.
Yeah.
And if you recall,
no small snack.
That's a Saturday Night Live reference.
Yeah, it ain't no small snack.
To Celebrity Jeopardy with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
It was one of the categories.
However
what?
If you're in Sweden, it ain't no small snack.
It's a big game.
A big game.
Big rivalry game, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Portions of this hour brought to you by Summit. Join us on the third floor of the Silent.
Uh-oh. Looks like we lost them, boys. Hold on 1 second. Oh, no. Back, Tommy. All righty. Well, I'll be running the show here for a bit, I guess, boys. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds here. Looks like we are losing Tommy. Not great. Not great. Nasties, keep them coming. I'll chat with you guys for a little bit as we reconnect with the boys over at local. Let's see. What are they doing? Alrighty. They're reconnecting here very shortly, boys. Hold on, just give me 2 more seconds here. Internet can be stressful. Alrighty. What's up, X-Ray J? How we doing? I'm looking back in the comments here. Matt Hyman. Did I get them, boys? Did I get them on the Benny's blind rankings? I feel like I took a dub there. So pretty happy about that. That clip would be good to post on social media here. Alrighty. So any score predictions? If anyone's in the chat, what are we thinking for tonight? If I had to guess, I'm thinking Canada takes down US. I agree with Bellezy on those picks, so that should be good. Give me 2 seconds here. The boys are back, so we will add them back on to the show. And here we are. All right. Yeah, 1 second here. And there you are.
All right, we're back. The internet crapped out from our On Location. We're back here. All right, so you and I were going to talk about this, and it was news in the WHL.
Yes.
And
but I was saying, is it news yet? Like, is it speculation? Is it 100% happening? Because I haven't heard 100% this is happening as of yet. However, like you mentioned, it is news that we're hearing that obviously Penticton V's may or may not be leaving the BCHL for the WHL, which would obviously be a massive shift,
right,
for them. You know, I think the ultimate goal, regardless of whatever side of the fence you were on with the BCHL and the AJHL and the WHL, all that drama that happened and started last year, it's a massive shift. You have one of the most storied franchises in the BCHL potentially leaving and going to the WHL. That would be a big thing.
Okay, so I have an article here from the province. Headline is several sources have Penticton V's leaving BCHL to join WHL as expansion team next season. WHL spokesperson says no final decisions were made. That's the quote at league meetings this week in Vegas, but admits many aspects around the WHL's future plans were discussed. Like, what are you hearing? Like, what is the WHL trying to do? Is this in response to all the NCAA stuff? And then Penticton leaving the BCHL, how big of a gap or chasm does that leave in the dub?
Well, I think it leaves in
BCHL.
the BCHL. I think it leaves a big hole in the BCHL because this has been one of the best franchises in Western Canada, I guess in junior outside of the WHL for a long time. And they've done a fantastic job in recruiting players, building their program, having a product with players that are consistently going to the NCAA. But now that there is obviously the tiered system where, you know, you go to the NCAA via the CHL, obviously it changes things and changes where you got to operate. And, you know, for a team like the Penticton V's,
not again. Oh, no. Oh, we're back. All righty. Hold on. Let's see if they reconnect. If not, we will go back to the regular. Back. Oh, yeah. Not good. Uh-oh. All righty. Well, it's back to me and you, boys. Give me 2 seconds here. All righty. So, Big Uke, I like that prediction quite a bit. 5-3 Canada, empty netter. I like it. Oh, all right. The boys are back pretty quick after that one. All righty. Hold on. Yep, welcome back. 1 second here. Hold on. 2 seconds. All righty. Then, thank you guys. 1 second, folks. And show's back on.
Okay, Benny.
Right.
Thank you for that. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, you were talking about like the breakdown of like how it'll affect the BCHL and the WHL.
Yeah, like
it
leaves a massive hole in the BCHL, but there's going to be other teams that are going to pick up the mantle and start to run with it. And the Brooks Bandits are a prime example of a team that has been building a juggernaut the same way the Penticton V's have. The Trail Smoke Eaters this year are doing an unbelievable job of attracting talent and bringing players in. They've got a strong program. So there's going to be lots of different teams that are going to start to pick up. And because you lose the Penticton V's potentially, it doesn't change what's going to happen in BCHL. They're still going to be the next best thing. And people can argue that fact, but here's the thing. Here's the reality. The BCHL is going to take the AJ's best player. They're going to take the SJ's best player. They're going to take the MJ's best player. That's how they build their league. They're going to open it up to Europeans a little bit more. So the product that you're going to get in the BCHL is still going to be strong. You're going to get those overage guys in the WHL that are not going to want to go play in those particular leagues. They're going to go to the BC because that could be now the funnel for U Sport. So you're still going to have the BCHL be a top-level league. The WHL is and has always been the best league. That has never changed despite the BCHL leaving Hockey Canada and trying to do some things. The WHL has always been the best league. I don't think anybody's ever argued that.
You know what league we haven't or leagues we haven't even discussed in all of the shifting with the NCAA decision, the WHL. We've seen commits from the WHL to NCAA already.
Yep.
BCHL obviously going off independently last year and doing a pretty good job. We haven't really talked about the Manitoba League and the Saskatchewan League. I don't know how much
those
you
leagues
keep
have honestly just been humming along.
Really?
They haven't really changed anything. They're just humming along. They're like the SJ is actually quietly becoming one of the best junior A leagues in Canada. Quietly.
How?
Because they are trying to get into political games. They're just taking the best players. And if you leave out certain groups of players, because now you're like, well, you can't join that league because we don't want you in it. Well, then that player is now going to the SJ, and the SJ is accepting those players. Because what they have done is what most scouts are supposed to do, and what most junior teams are supposed to do is you find the best players available and you put them on their rosters. Doesn't matter where you played from. Doesn't matter. Find the best players, put them on your roster. And that's what the SJ is doing, and they're improving. And they're becoming better. They're becoming a better league, and they're quietly, like I said, becoming one of the strongest leagues in junior A.
How many kids out of Saskatchewan or Manitoba go, I want to play in Alberta or now the BCHL? Because I feel like it's probably less of those players wanting to come out west compared to Alberta kids wanting to go to the BCHL.
It's weird because before all this happened, the AJHL was shifting towards taking more American players and going after more Ontario players.
Right.
And so that left this like void where it was like, okay, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and you can even say Manitoba players to an extent were kind of falling through the cracks. And so as this whole thing shifted and changed, it became where it's like, okay, now let's find more guys that want to be part of this. And so now that obviously we get into the BCHL and they're leaving they've left and they're trying to find players, like it's become Saskatchewan where it's like been a bit of a haven for Alberta players.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting how everything shifted and unfolded in the past couple of years. Like it just people are finding places to play regardless of whatever happened. Whether you fall on the one side of the fence where like I hate the fact that BCHL left Hockey Canada, you can fall on that side of the fence. That's great. That's fine. But the reality is there's players out there and they're going to find places to play. And if you as a league aren't trying to find the best players, then what are you doing?
I want to say this. Good job discussing all of that, maintaining that thought while Benny and Joel showed up. We shifted seats in and got headsets on. All right. Joel Schneider and Simon Bennett are here. I'm going to back up the camera. Okay, boys, back up a little bit. Welcome.
Yeah. Let me shift.
There we go. All right.
A little bit better.
There we go. We've had a good time. We've been talking a lot about.
It's a little tight in here.
Buddy.
All right. Simon, welcome back to the program. Joel, welcome to Hello Hockey.
Yeah,
I got to turn this a little bit. All right. Go ahead, Bellezy. You tee them up because these guys deal with a lot of junior hockey players too.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the show, like Tommy just said. You guys have some big things going on. Body by Bennett obviously was a massive entity in the hockey world and the training business. That kind of went away as you guys shifted towards Archetype. And now you're starting to bring that back up. And you've got this program that you're coming back. I think last year you guys had 50-some players. And now you've got these different programs coming up. Give a little bit more detail on what you guys are doing at Archetype. I believe it's Archetype Athlete would be the correct terminology.
Yes.
So just obviously explain what you guys got going on.
Well, I first of all, thanks for having us on the show because honestly, it's a privilege to be able to sit beside you, Bellezy, and of course Tom. I've got so much time for Tom. It goes without saying.
That's very nice of you, but I'll just start it with this. He was telling me how you were giving me the MF earlier because I was getting Ayurvedic wrong.
Yeah. Well, We can talk about that in another segment.
Yeah,
we should talk about that right now.
It
No,
light him
is
up,
pronounced
please.
Ayurvedic.
I know. I'll revoice it. It's all good, Benny, before we send it to the production company.
But but that's another segment for sure.
Yes.
But you asked about programming. So yeah, it's interesting. You always start by talking about Body by Bennett. Body by Bennett is the old days. Yeah, it was a
but that was like the
program.
peak, right? Like it was when you were a hockey player and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go find training. People are like, where are you going? Body by Bennett, and that's how it all started, right? Like that's how obviously you're in the mansion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got
Western
guys like
location.
George Larock coming through.
Yeah.
I said unfortunately. And then Comrie was around, Horkoff, like some of those guys were there, and then all of a sudden, just boom, your program blew up, and that's how you became synonymous. Like that was a household name, so it's hard to forget that because of how big of an impact it was.
No, absolutely. And then, I mean, simultaneously, I started working for the team at that point.
Yeah.
And so it just continued to add to it, and we just kept adding guys. Joel Schneider was such an integral part of those days back then, and then as of course today, our director of human and health performance here at Archetype. So it's nice to have him along to share his perspective. But we do have like so many programs, and we're always trying to innovate what we do, as we always talk about. There's a couple things, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that now, but we do have a couple things that are kind of happening that are new and unique with our program.
Yeah, Benny, we got 45 minutes.
Yeah. We got 45 minutes. Okay, we got nothing but time.
You just relaxed.
So within the program itself, we obviously, we have the pro level player, but we also have a very strong and large number of Western Hockey League players, players that are playing major junior, that also make up our program. But then we also have younger players. And so we're very actively pursuing and developing and trying to obviously bring those players to our program, those younger players, because they represent the future for us in terms of our growth and our development. But specifically our U16, our U15, U14 is something that we're actively trying to grow. And so we've got some unique things that we're trying to do this year, specifically with our summer programming. And then we also have started and launched just really as of about 20 days ago, a new program, a team building program. And so one of the real gaps that we kind of saw in the sort of the winter months, right? When teams are coaches and teams and players alike are always looking for really unique team building experiences. Bellezy, you're looking away like you're just not that
I'm just listening.
He's pondering.
I'm soaking it all in, buddy.
But yes, our team building program is something that we've constructed, and we've actually partnered with OEG on this. So we have an experience that we've created that really consists of about 4.5 hours, Joel?
So it's 4 hours. Yeah. So it's
so we'll get Joel to kind of tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
I'll break
Joel's
down
always the
I'll break
quiet
down the
one.
itinerary one.
Yeah.
So the way it works is it's a 4-hour experience, and the teams start off actually at Rogers Place. So the first thing that they get to do is actually a behind the scenes tour of Rogers Place. And along with that, they actually will also get to meet Oilers alumni as well too.
Like
so that,
Sean Bell or
well, if they're so lucky.
If they're so lucky, people to show up for this. They don't want to see me.
And then so this would actually happen on an Oilers home game. So with this as well too, then they'd also get to watch the morning skate.
Yes.
So they'd be able to watch the Oilers and then the visiting team as well too. So that first part takes about 2 hours. And then after that, then they come to Archetype, and then they'll be working with myself, Simon, and some of the other coaches. And then that's where we have more of the team building component. And best way to describe this would be like we have different challenges, different activities that kind of get the kids to work together to complete these different activities.
Yep.
So it's not like there's a physical component. It's not so much a workout, but it's more, just getting the kids to work together. Hey, Simon?
Mm-hmm. It's about creating competition. It's about improving things like decision-making skills. It's, identifying key leaders within a group. So not necessarily saying, hey, who are the leaders within a group? It's about, those leaders stepping to the forefront and making good decisions and organizing groups. So what it really does is it challenges leadership. It challenges working together. But the best part about it all is that what it really encourages is fun and engagement and a sense of competition that really bonds and galvanizes the guys together. So the experience, it's honestly, it's just a crazy cool experience. Our portion of it is about 2 hours. And so, and that's obviously piggybacking the experience they're going to get over at Rogers Place with the Oilers experience, in terms of viewing the practices and so forth. But ours is the culmination, and I think that's the big component that coaches are looking for these days in terms of team building. We have leadership boards, so it's all competition driven. Bellezy would absolutely love this because it just really puts you under the knife, and you have to step up as either if you're part of the team or if you want to be a leader within that group. You really identify who on your team is actually going to allow you, or who's going to step forward and take that initiative. And like I said, with the element of competition and then creating all kinds of, urgency with specific drills and the demands within the drills, it just culminates to just create just a massive team building experience, and everybody leaves kind of walking away with a sense of fulfillment because, they either won or they didn't win, but they bonded together with their group, or maybe they didn't bond, which is great for coaches to be able to see and identify, because then you can see gaps within your team in terms of where those things might be needing more work, I suppose, right?
Absolutely. Okay, Joel Schneider and Simon Bennett with us live on location at local South Edmonton Common, our maiden voyage to local South Edmonton Common. It's been a lot of fun. Staff's here. It's been great. It's busy. We're usually at the Jasper Ave location, closer to home for me, as you guys know. If you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, you can text us 780-218-9999. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, get into the nasty chat as well. Bellezy's monitoring that. If you're listening on Sportsnet in Calgary, Vancouver, you can text us too. Okay, we're talking about this new initiative and program you guys are running, Archetype Athlete. Was this based off of something you guys had seen somewhere else, or is this completely something it was you guys coming up with an idea saying, we're going to come up with this cool program, we're going to be the first guys to do it? Where did this emanate from?
Well, I think just for clarity, I think our Archetype Athlete is just literally the program.
Okay.
I think the inspiration behind it really just came from, what we had set up with Body by Bennett. Obviously we've always had a very holistic approach, and especially in the work that I did with the team, I learned very quickly just how important, sort of this integrated strategy in terms of how you bring out high performing in an individual becomes so important. And so it's not just about reps and sets, and it's, there's so many elements to it as we talk about, and, not to beat a dead horse, but, we talk about the importance of nutrition and supplementation, and we talk about recovery as components, but, recovery's become a very technology driven world. And so we're learning through, AI and through modern technological advancements and things like red light therapy and cold therapy, how we can get an athlete to bounce back faster and recover faster from what they're doing. So when we say holistic, we're really talking about, the entire human, right? So we're talking about the fact that, the stress management component has to be there. There has to be avenues and opportunities to be able to get better in those areas as well. So an example would be like in our club, we have what's called a meditational pod. It's called a Somadome. And
I've
seen
used
it, Tommy.
Yeah.
Do you use it enough, though, is the question, Tommy?
Benny, I didn't know what to make of it. And Joel, I think I had to ask Mason Kenny, one of the other great trainers at Archetype, like, what's the deal with this thing? He's like, just try it.
Yeah.
Like, there were moments, like, I don't know, you guys, there were moments I'm in the Somadome and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of dozing off. But there were moments I'm like, am I just listening to white noise? Like,
So the white noise is actually, it's something called binaural beat. So it's sound frequency.
Okay.
So with the Somadome, it kind of hits on three things. So it's guided meditation, it's sound therapy, and then it's light therapy. So the hood of the pod changes color.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So the nice thing about this, like kind of what Simon was touching on, is like just in the realm of like mental performance and like having an athlete being able to have tools to be able to work on, like being able to kind of help get centered, help to calm their nerves, whatever it might be. The Somadomes are really kind of a cool like introduction to that whole area.
I see.
So as you know, like you said, one of the comments I'll always get is somebody gets in there, they almost feel like they fall asleep, which is it's a good thing. They're able to kind of turn their mind off, be able to settle themselves down. Whereas there's a lot of
it could be a bad thing.
Or it could be a bad thing.
You could have a sleep issue, right?
You could be having
you could be experiencing sleep debt. It can go. But Joel's right. It does create a real strong sense of calm. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's a tool. There's lots of tools out there. I mean, you could do a yoga class where they're emphasizing proper breathing, which ironically we offer.
Yeah.
Under red light therapy, which is one of our studio spaces, does have red light therapy, which comes with a host of incredible cellular benefits. But they're just tools. And so, like when we talk about building a holistic athlete, it's really about incorporating all of these integral elements that really allow an individual to become more engineered for high performing, right?
Okay.
And that's really the kind of the buzzwords that we use, is that we are really we're in the business of engineering high performing in individuals. So that might have a strength and conditioning initiative, that might have a mental health component, which means we need to offer up resources and technologies that allow an individual to be able to manage stress on a more appropriate level. There's lots of tools and there's lots of information and things that are available to us, but we try to condense all that into a very palatable form so that it becomes simple and easy for them to be able to engineer.
Okay, I have a million questions about this. We're going to need to step out for a quick commercial break. We're going to follow up with Joel Schneider and Simon Bennett from Archetype, telling us about their new initiative, new program. Lots coming up here on Hello Hockey. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. I know you have a question, so we'll get to that right after the break. We're going to step out for a quick sec. More on the way here on Hello Hockey.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Movies, comics, and television. That's what you get with Friends of Edmonton Sports Talk, the MCTV podcast. Join hosts Corey Graham and Mark Majot Monday and Friday nights at 7 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout, and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
This is Hello Hockey with Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell.
I don't think he's much.
All right. Welcome back. It is Hello Hockey. We're live on location at local South Edmonton Common. Tom Gazzola, Sean Bell, Simon Bennett, and Joel Schneider. Joel and Simon from Archetype. We're talking about the new program coming up here for up-and-coming guys. Should it be hockey players or is it athletes in general, really quickly?
Well, I think the simple response to that is we target hockey players.
Yep.
We're not excluding other athletes, but for the most part, our market is hockey.
Hockey, yeah.
The programs that we're talking about with the Archetype athlete is really centered around hockey. So yeah.
Okay. We've got a lot of questions. We're probably I'm sure there's gonna be some submissions via the text line And the nasty chat text us 780-218-9999. If you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio Live, maybe Amazon Music, Apple Music, EftonSportsTalk.com's audio player. We're on every platform, guys, including Sportsnet Radio as well, and then YouTube. And also, you guys are the first stars of the show, the joint first stars of the show. Brought to you by Sense Naturals. Discover Balance, a hot tea elixir crafted from 10 potent herbs and spices steeped to perfection to reduce inflammation, heal digestion, soothe anxiety, and promote revitalizing sleep. Redefine your health from the inside out with a centuries-old solution to today's modern health challenges. Elevate your wellness. Order your balance today. How was that read, Benny?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there.
Yeah, there we go.
Brought a smile to his face.
I am impressed. That was pretty good. And you seemed like you were in, your breath and everything was good. Like
it's like I've been doing this for 20 years.
Exactly.
Right? I have balance.
I was a little nervous when I heard Ayurvedic.
I had to look it up yesterday when I was voicing the commercial, and I was like, is it Ayurvedic or is it Ayurvedic? And then I went on Google.
That's what you said, Ayurvedic.
Yeah, because Google told me Ayurvedic, and I was like, So we'll revoice it. It'll be great.
Yeah. No, it sounded amazing. So
thank you.
You're well on your way.
We're all about positivity. Great to have Sense Naturals as part of the show. There you go. See? Okay, Bellezy, you had something before we went to break there that you wanted to ask the guys.
Yeah, so obviously we're talking about just the different technologies and I guess modalities in helping with recovery, and I think you went into like red light therapy. Obviously there's a bunch. We don't need to get into all of that, but as a coach, as a GM, one of the big things is we're trying to get our athletes to recover and find ways to do that. So can you guys just dive in a little bit more into some of those new technologies so that maybe the people or some of my players are listening, so that they can now get a sense of like why recovery is such a massive thing for the body and how it helps you to perform a lot better.
I think I was gonna say that. So I think like before you kind of dive into, because there's a ton of really cool tools, technologies that's out there right now. But I think like when working with an athlete, before you kind of even start going down that path, it's about just ensuring that the athlete has like all the fundamentals, like they have the foundation of like nutrition, proper sleep. They have those tenets down first before you start kind of venturing into the red light, into the cold tubbing, things like that, right? So it's always kind of focusing on the fundamentals first before kind of going to the other things.
So I love this conversation because obviously
technologies.
Well, yeah, I do want to talk about technologies, but here's the thing is that we have nutritionists and we all sit here and we know hockey players. We've got the 13-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, and wanting to say and pretend like, hey, their nutrition is going to be down to a science is probably not going to be there because those kids don't want to eat the broccoli. Yeah. So I've seen multiple times where it's like, okay, you know what, guys, we're going to have a great meal. There's going to be chicken here or steak here. There's going to be rice or some form of pasta, but here's your greens. And we all know that greens are a big piece of the puzzle, but this is all gone. That's still a full tray. And so when it comes to just nutrition, that's obviously something for sure that's going to help these guys. But they don't see it that way. They see this is the food that I want. So is there other ways based off some of the technologies that now these guys can say, okay, well, my nutrition is okay-ish, but I'm still going to be able to use these to now properly recover so that now I'm primed to be at my best.
Okay, so if we're talking about recovery, Bellezy, what in your mind would be the number one thing that you could do to help accelerate your recovery?
Well, for me, it would have been a cold tub or have good nutrition.
Well,
but the reality is like
I would say that's called putting the cart before the horse.
Probably.
So to me, the first thing that we always advise, and I'm going to piggyback Joel on this because he talked about the foundations, right? Yep. So before you start talking about technologies and modalities that accelerate or enhance, those are the 3 to 5% range, right? So those things are like once you're doing all and checking all the boxes, you want to then add in some of the modern technologies and advancements that we are now seeing present, right? Red light therapy. But I would say if you're not addressing sleep, you are probably missing the number one component of how you're going to accelerate recovery. Yeah. And so with young players that you're coaching and we're coaching as well, the sleep issue is a big one, but it's probably one of the more difficult ones to try to manage because the only person who can manage sleep is yourself. You have to decide when you're going to put yourself to bed. You're going to decide how consistently you want to put yourself to bed. You're going to have to decide, like, you know, if I'm going to be shutting off some of the things that we know affect or impact sleep, am I
you gotta
mindful of those
you got to
things,
have
right?
the discipline to say, I'm going to put my phone down and I'm not Snapchatting that girl, or I'm not Snapchatting my boys, or playing whatever video game.
I was going to say the video game thing has become a big, in the pros, it's affecting the pros. You guys deal with pros, and you guys deal with up and coming younger athletes in their teens. Is like, it sounds silly, but like, is video games a problem when you guys are dealing with these younger kids?
Well, 100%. Technology in general.
Technology in general.
Okay. Like video games for sure, but I mean, just even a kid just on his phone late at night, that's going to have an impact as well too. So it's kind of all forms kind of go together.
But the only way you're going to be able to address it, though, Tommy, is by education, right? Because you can't, you know, lead the horse you can't lead the horse to water unless they want, you know, or if they're willing.
There's got to be a
drink.
willingness.
They have to. There has to be a willingness. So you have to educate. And I got to say, like, young kids today are so far ahead of where, you know, athletes were even 10, 15 years ago. And so, like, I don't know, I tapped you to see if you agree with that.
No, I do agree with it.
But it is a fact. And so I think we are always a little bit critical. I actually really think they're hyper learners. Like, we work with a young academy, a hockey academy, St. FX Hockey Academy. And Steven Zip and the crew over there, they do an amazing job with these kids. They're so well behaved. They're so hooked into, you know, what they need to do to better themselves. It's humbling to see that. So I think they're getting there, but I think it's just literally more information, repeating that information over and over and over, and doing it in different ways and using different strategies. We're trying to get them to understand, like, the importance of those decisions that they make that will impact performance. But sleep is the biggest one. Joel talked about nutrition. That's a massive one. And so, like, you can go, I mean, we could do another 45-minute talk just on the nutrition side of things if we had time. But that's a box that has to be checked. And then, you know, I would say last but not least, but how your exercise strategy works as well. So, you know, I mean, there's lots of tracking tools to measure how much strain you're incurring. That's important. If you look at even just like these young kids that we're working with, right? 15, 16, 17-year-olds from St. FX Academy, is that they're involved in so much stuff. Like, they've got, you know, they're training with us twice a week. They're training, you know, with other groups twice a week. And that's just off ice. Then we haven't even talked, and this is in season, we haven't even talked about their on ice performance. They've got, you know, potentially 2 games a week. They've got practices every day. I mean, there's a lot coming at them. So the one thing that that's very elusive is how much strain are they actually going through. So if you're not managing strain, then, and I'm not saying that you're necessarily wanting them to do less. You're just saying, okay, they are accruing a tremendous amount of oxidative damage and cellular stress on their bodies by virtue of the game and by their practice and the activity levels, that you need to somehow combat that. So you can do that through sleeping and improving your sleep quality in a lot of factors, right? You can also address it through nutritional strategy, but you can also start to incorporate some of these modern advancements and technologies, like, you know, mindfulness, which is, you know, we talked about the Somadome and the importance of, you know, using binaural beats to help regulate a nervous system that may be dysregulated because of the level of activity that you've been incurring, right? If a player is, you know, experiencing tremendous amount of outside stress, so stress unrelated to playing the game, that can also affect their ability to recover as well. So then again, things like meditation and things like mindfulness or breathing exercises or things that really put the athlete into a rest and digest kind of state become extremely valuable to them, right? You know, and so we talked a little bit about red light therapy. Red light therapy is like, you know, like, I think I don't know if the evidence-based science is really solid around it yet. You know, again, probably going to have like haters kind of sending in, you know, guys that are invested in this space. But I do think that there is a certain amount of science that's there and available. We have red light therapy. It's called far infrared, which is a different wavelength versus a near infrared.
At Archetype?
At Archetype,
Where?
yeah. So in the studio.
Yoga studio.
The yoga studio.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
built
we
into
have the infrared panels
Okay.
in the ceiling.
That's
And
somewhere
so-
I don't venture into.
Yeah.
that often,
Yeah.
and as
Well,
you
now
guys
you
know.
so
Yeah,
you'll have to-
Evidently.
evidently, yeah, very true.
But but it's stimulating something called heat shock protein, and heat shock protein can help with recovery.
I see.
And helps with cell cycling, helps with repair and rejuvenation. Like I said, there's a lot of science around this stuff, but I think if you're talking to people that are really invested in hard science, they might say that the benefit's not as good as what people purport. But at the end of the day, that's where the discussions lie. But if I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4% difference and improving my overall performance, I'm going to do some red light therapy. And the reason I'm going to do it is because I want the opportunity to be able to put myself in the conversation of at least being able to check as many boxes as I can to help me perform at a consistently high level, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm doing that in replace of my potentially sleeping well, I'm saying it's a little backwards, it's a little skewed, because you're going to get a much bigger return on improving your sleep than you will, sitting in a red light therapy bed, right?
Yeah, and while I agree with that, like I think about it the way that I see it with these athletes is because we could sit here and be like, hey guys, like you need to get your sleep, but the reality is they're probably going to go home and they're going to probably jump on their phone, or they're probably going to get on to whatever gaming station they have, and they're going to do what they always do. And so when I'm thinking about it, trying to say, okay, like give avenues to players to help recover, knowing full well that, gentlemen, you guys need to go to sleep tonight. Take care of your bodies. Do your foam rolling, get your stretching in, do whatever, get some hydration, proper nutrition, do all those things. And you can say that 4 million times, but 4 million times they're going to go right back to the exact same thing, because they're like, well, what does coach know? But when they hear things that can help them, their antennas instantly perk up and they go, okay, I'm going to try that stuff. So that's part of the reason why I was asking those questions, because I do feel that for a lot of young players, they don't necessarily understand how much that sleep will help them or affect them. I don't think they truly understand how much that proper nutrition will either hinder them or help them.
Yeah.
And so having those different things maybe to kind of help spice things up a little bit in their worlds might be a big thing.
What I found is like with some of the sleep tracking technology out there, I found that can really help a lot of athletes in terms of kind of like creating awareness, but also kind of getting competitive. So with a lot of the technology out there, like you'll get a sleep score and it'll let you know if you had a good night's sleep, like if you recovered or if you're not recovered. And for a lot of athletes, they get the score, and if they're kind of under where they need to be, they kind of look at it as a bit of a challenge, and they start to get like wanting more information in terms of how to improve that, right? So for some athletes, some of the technology can be super beneficial just to get them a little bit more in tune with that as well too.
Yeah, because like here's a prime example of it. So we had last season, I had a parent go, hey Sean, can we change the schedule of your academy? And I'm like, okay,
the whole academy
need to change the schedule. So I was like, why? What's well, my kid doesn't hit his REM cycle. Okay, so then we went in and we asked all the kids, so when do you go to sleep, knowing full well that you got to be up at 5:30 so that you can be there for 7.
Right.
And some of them have to travel a little bit. This kid puts his hand up saying that he goes to bed at 1 o'clock. So I'm like, so now you got dad coming in being like, you guys need to change your entire schedule. But kid is going to bed at 1 o'clock every single night.
And he's 15?
And he's waking up at, 5:30. Like, that's not going to be conducive to being at your best or being sharp. But that same person is probably going to now be like, oh, red light therapy, let's go do this so I can get a little bit more recovery. And that's partly why I bring it up, because that's what's going on behind the scenes for a lot of these players.
Yeah, and you're right. And I mean, there's advocates out there for, at least the red light therapy is going to be a way to hack yourself through some of the, the ill effects that you get from a lack of sleep, right? But that is actually I just thought of something here as we were talking, just with respect to the hockey player's schedule and the disruption with sleep. And one of the problems is that on game nights, you're probably not getting home till late, close to 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you, as a hockey player, you are going through this kind of continual disruption in your what's called your circadian rhythm, right? So we all have a natural rhythm, and it's regulated by the moon and the sun, right? In terms of like when we sleep and when it's best to sleep and when it's best to wake up.
There is actual science behind this.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you disrupt circadian rhythm, it pushes you out of very important deep sleep. So let's say I'm now only going to bed. So let's say we've got a scenario. Kid comes home, 12 o'clock, he's wired up, and he stays on his, like he plays, I don't know, Fortnite till 1 o'clock in the morning. Well,
guilty.
And he has to be at school, at 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So he's up at 7.
Yeah.
What I would say is goodbye to all your deep sleep, which happens in your first 3 to 4 hours of your sleep cycle.
Right.
And so your body would pass through that. And so that does affect repair and regeneration in that individual. But it's one of those things where it is an obvious reality because of the nature of the game and the particular lifestyle that they're choosing, which is hockey. But it doesn't mean that you can't work around it. It doesn't mean that you can't work your way through it. And I think it's like you said, it starts with education, because I need to understand the impacts of going to bed at 1 o'clock when I have to get up at 7 the next day to go to school, right? It does have a tremendous impact on my ability to bounce back. So I think this all goes to identity, guys. And so one of the things that Joel and I always talk about is when it comes to things like sleep, you have to become almost like, if you're an elite athlete, or if you consider yourself to be somebody that's going in that direction where you want to become an elite athlete and play at the very highest levels, you have to become a professional sleeper. And the reason is because it's the number one hack for recovery. So you have to change your mindset. So it's like the kids, when you go to the high schools, and some kids decide to vape, and then some kids decide, you know what, I'm not going to vape because I'm an athlete. Right. So that's not what I do. That's part of my identity. I think that is really the key, is that as an athlete, you have to take it one step further, which is you got to say, I'm an athlete. And in order to be an athlete at an elite level, I have to regenerate and recover my body, which never happened 15 years ago. Like we just didn't see those kinds of things, because the old school adage was always that, if you had to drink water when you're working out, that was a sign of weakness, right? And I'm saying I'm going way back.
Yeah.
Like, careful, Benny. Don't be disrespecting the 80s athletes.
Yeah.
Oh, he got busted for that earlier. Somebody texted.
Really?
He's still upset about it. Yeah.
But the reason it worked back then and it doesn't work now is because it was a level playing field. Everybody was smoking between periods. Not drinking water. It's the mindset, right? So the reality is that you're not really knocking them. It's just that when the playing field, like, so for example, I'll give you a great example. So, we were talking about this, Joel, the other day when the Avalanche came through, right? And Nate McKinnon went up into the swimming pool and he was doing all his underwater breathing and all that stuff, preparing for the game that night, right? And so I was talking to Joel about this, and he says, actually, I saw a podcast where he was, he's very invested in it, and they tried to dig, I think it was Spit Chicklets, and they were trying to dig into what are you doing there? And he was kind of like a little bit more, I think, subdued about what he was doing.
He's
that
protective
kind
of it.
Protective of it. But what it would be is it would be I don't want to call it a hack, because a hack sounds too much like a knee-jerk thing.
Yeah.
But it would be a strategy that he would use to help prepare his body for the game that night, right? Because he did it that day, the day of the game.
So you and Joel are pretending to be in the hot tub all the while noting everything he's doing to make sure that you can incorporate it.
I sent Joel up there, and he was walking on his hands and knees, and had a little go camera on his forehead.
Underwater GoPro.
It's kind of funny.
Okay, we have about. Do you want to finish that thought, Ben? We've got about 8 minutes left.
I was just saying that the level playing field, where things are going right now is everybody's chasing how do I get 1, 2, 3, 4%, right? And so I guess the takeaway is that when you're at a very, very high level, those 1, 2, 3% differences make a huge difference. So the red light therapy, cold tubbing, all of this stuff becomes very, very valuable at this level. But if you are not following the basics, which anybody that's doing it at that level is following and checking all the foundational pieces, you are really putting the cart before the horse.
And then you're not getting the full benefits. Simon Bennett, Joel Schneider with us live on location at local public eatery, Southampton Common. The boys are from Archetype. They're getting Archetype athlete going, training the next generation of hockey players. And guys, I don't know if this is too simplistic or not, but you guys are used to working with NHL pro players, major junior players. I know that in the gym, you guys have also had minor hockey players, and you talk about the St. FX program. If I'm a parent with a kid that I think is going to potentially go somewhere, whether it's pro, whether it's NCAA, anywhere in hockey, and I want to invest in them, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm interested and intrigued by this program that you guys are running. Go and teach my kids how to train like an NHL player. That's not, you can't train a 14-year-old the same way you train an NHL player, right? Like there has to be a focus on them as they develop and their bodies are growing. Am I right in thinking that, Joel?
Totally. It's like for us to be able to get an athlete at 13, 14, like it's fun because we can really kind of help create this foundation. So this foundation of movement, of just things that are going to kind of carry along the years with that athlete.
Right.
Just to, like every year you build 1 year from the next with each kid, right? So so what you're doing with a kid at 14 is going to be completely different than a kid at 16 and 18. A lot of the fundamental movements are going to be the same. It's just kind of how you progress them at those different ages that are going to change.
And when they get there, they'll be able to train like a Sean Bell when he was a first-round draft pick.
Absolutely.
Basically. You wanted to follow up on that?
Yeah, I was going to have a snarky comment, but so basically what you're saying.
Go with your snarky comment.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that at 14, 15, you shouldn't try to load up with a weight belt on at 700 pounds trying to do a squat?
Well,
because that never happens in the city, right?
Yeah,
no, never.
I mean,
that's the first time I heard of that.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
it was
I
out
think,
of pure curiosity. So
I think the research is in that, obviously a kid at 11, 12, and 13 is has different neurological potential.
Yes.
And versus an athlete in his 23, 24, 25 age group. So we obviously make adjustments. But Joel and I just came out of a conversation yesterday about how we customize and how we individualize the program, because one of the things that comes up is like, what's so great about your program versus so and so and so and so. Information is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we're in a day and age where there's really not a lot new about like necessarily how to train an athlete or what's the best approach to it. So we really believe that the key is culture and building a strong culture. And then within that culture, how we customize and individualize is within the unique nuances within the program itself.
Right.
So as an example, when we assess players, right, that becomes critical for us as we move forward into the program, because a lot of the players will be doing very similar exercises, but maybe the intention or the small adjustments within those exercises are different and unique to them based on their unique makeup. And so that could be their age, that could be say an injury that they may have sustained,
right,
or that could be something that's not even expressed itself as an injury right now, but we see a movement discrepancy in how well they're moving, and we're trying to fix and resolve something to be able to prevent for the future.
That's like when like you or Simon, you'll look at a guy and just stand right there. Let me look at your feet, and you can tell if there's something in the hips or something like that, right?
Yeah. So like,
I think you did that to me once, and you're like, you're moving, you're compensating for this.
Exactly. Like, for example, like, like in hockey players, like, believe it or not, you'd think hockey was a fairly knee dominant sport, but it's not. And so what we find is that, there's a lot of knee dominant weakness. So we call it knee health. So we have a whole strategy and focus within our programming to build strong knees within the program. And where we see some of the pitfalls is like, for example, like if you look at traditional programming, you'll see somebody doing like a split squat, right? And the coach is describing it as an exercise that's specifically designed to train a knee dominant pattern, right? But when you actually look at how it's being executed, all we're seeing is a lot of hinging. So the hamstrings and the posterior chain are getting stronger while the extensor chain is getting weaker. And so when you're thinking that you're actually improving this athlete by putting him in a pattern that is quote unquote appropriate for this guy, and what you think is going to challenge him is actually not being executed in the proper way. So that would be maybe a small example of what we're talking about. But we believe in something called the tensegrity of the body, which is how do the joints move above and below each other at all times.
Yeah.
And so really it's about like, so what is the ankle doing? What is the lower leg doing? What is the upper leg doing? And then what is the pelvis doing? And then what is the T-spine and the spine, and how's the spine stabilizing relative to all of those movements? And what we really try to develop is a keen eye for exactly how those movements may be not optimized in the body. And so, and that's a coaching thing, and it takes experience and it takes know-how to be able to engineer a quick shift or a quick change. Because what we find is you have to really saturate that pattern in order to be able to actually improve it. So it's not just as simple as just saying, hey, Bellezy, I'm going to bring you over here and I'm going to make an adjustment to your squat. I want you to really think about digging your big toe in here, right? Yeah. That's kind of what I would call a hack. It's not a good solution.
Yep.
I have to be able to get that athlete to do it without conscious input. So I have to be able to saturate the movement that is going to allow him to be able to do that effectively.
Yep.
But he has to be able to do it in an integrated way where he doesn't have to put conscious input into it.
Feels natural.
So telling me to squat more through my heels is a very limiting cue, right? It's not a cue that's going to get you where you want to with your athlete, right? Because if you think about the sport happens so quickly, movements happen so quickly, and if the athlete is ill prepared, he's more at risk for injury. Mm-hmm. And so that's really where we obsess now in our program, and that's how we customize in how we do things. But if you walked into our gym during the midpoint of the summer, you'd say, well, shit, you know what? Can I say that?
Well, we'll get Benny to clean it up for Sportsnet. Go ahead, continue on.
Well, sorry.
I love it.
That's fine. On Edmonton Sports Talk, that flies.
Hey, can I take that back?
No, it's all good, Simon.
So you'd say, well, like they're doing all the same exercises we're doing. Like, like they do trap bar deadlifts, they do, split squats, they do, Sean Bell is it called Seventh Heaven?
It could be Seventh Heaven. Seven Hockey.
Seven Hockey, yeah. Yep. So at Seven Hockey, you could be doing these movements, but the question is, how are you doing those? But more importantly, how is it being sequenced with everything else that you're doing? And then why are you doing bilateral work, or are you doing single lateral work? Like, what's the reason, or why are you doing that with this player versus this player versus this player? Like, there's so many nuances that come into play. But as I started at the beginning of my rant, right, it was really about culture, right? Yep. Culture is the key, because Bellezy, you know this, right, from your program, that players want to be with players that they see themselves in, right?
Yeah.
Like they identify with. Mm-hmm. So you have to have the right players, right, working together. So that's fundamentally important. Then you have to incubate a culture where you're building community and connectedness. So there has to be a way for these players to actually enjoy themselves when they're there, because they're there 16 weeks. It's a lot of time, and they're there, call it 12, 15 hours a week. And some players stay longer than that because they do extra stuff. So sometimes they're spending 20 hours a week. Yep. That's like half a work week for a city employee, right? Yeah. I said city employee.
Well, anybody, right? In general. Okay, we have like a couple minutes left before we got to wrap up the show. Joel Schneider and Simon Bennett from Archetype. You guys are launching Archetype Athlete. Just one more time, Cole's Notes version, because there's a major tie into the Oilers. You guys were strength and conditioning coaches for the team for a long time. That's where we go back, and you guys go back with Sean for a long time. So if people are interested in getting their kids involved, what do they need to know? And Joel, give us the tie into the Oilers, and then how you guys take over after the meet and greet portion.
So, well, first thing, if anyone's wanting more information on the different programs, you can go to the website. So www.archetypelife.ca. Okay. And under there, you'll see the Archetype Athlete tab. Under the tab, we'll have all the different programs from our pro or major junior, U16, U14. So there's information, and there's also a link to be able to you can contact myself.
Perfect.
Just for more information on the different programs that we have.
Okay. Yeah. Benny, anything else? We got about a minute.
I think that's good. No, I think Joel summarized it pretty good. Thank you for having us here, and
thanks for coming
we enjoyed
by.
Ourselves, and Bellezy. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, Canada, USA, who do you guys have? I know we're probably all going to say Canada, but what do we think about tonight's game?
It's going to be close. I'm going to say Canada 3-2.
Ooh, I like it.
That was my pick.
Yeah. Really? Okay, well, you have to come up with something different. Benny?
Well, part of me was thinking, because, if you potentially think about where this goes, right? The question is, if we win tonight and it happens to go to the final, I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but
it's okay.
I'm going to go Canada.
Okay,
yeah.
We're all homers, obviously. Yeah. Bellezy?
Oh, I already have it out on Saturday picks. So it's 3-2 Canada. Too much to handle. McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby. those guys are horses, and I think the rest of the team is going to show up. There's going to be a little bit of hatred in this game.
I like
it's going
it.
to be spicy, but I just don't think the U.S. has that level of player.
I think it's going to be
That's
like
gonna be
a
the difference.
just the track meet, 6'5". I'll
Yeah.
take the good guys in red and white. You guys are a bunch of good guys. Joel Schneider, Simon Bennett, thanks for coming
Thanks
again.
for having
Really
us,
appreciate it.
Sean.
That was awesome.
Thanks, man.
And I'll see you at the gym. I need to get there more often. I need to work on my foundation and be better. I know, Joel, you like to
Yeah,
give me
you were
crap.
sucking wind at our skates.
I
You might
was.
wanna
I
figure
really
that out.
was
Yeah.
the other day. But that's going to do it for this edition of Hello Hockey. A big thank you to David Pagnotta, Simon Bennett, Joel Schneider, for the boys, and Sean Bell and Ben Thompson. I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the Four Nations Face-Off. We'll see you next week.